In strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to StratNewsGlobal. This week, the Simply Nitin program that I do every Saturday is coming to you live. And the discussion this week, or the program or information that I'm going to provide and try and have some more focus on this subject this week, is going to be India's progress or India's plans to progress the border villages and the border areas through rapid buildup of infrastructure along the northern borders with China. That's the topic of this week's Simply Nitin. I'm Nitin Gokhale. So earlier this week, in fact on Wednesday, India's Cabinet Committee on Security approved a budget of nearly 1700 crore rupees for construction of a tunnel along the third road axis between Himachal Pradesh and Ladakh. Now, if you look at the road that I'm talking about, this road is called the Darcha Padam Nimu-Leh road. Now, this will be built on this road. This proposed tunnel is going to come up at Sinkunla or Sinkun Pass at an altitude of about 16,580 feet. It has been given about 3 years to complete. That is from January this year, when the first proposal was put up for consideration and was passed by the Cabinet Committee on Security this Wednesday, as I said. It will take 3 years to complete. The length of the tunnel is 4.1 kilometers. And of course, it will be built by the Border Roads Organization, our savior in the northern areas and the border areas. Now, why is it that I'm focusing on this particular tunnel? There is a history to it. The two roads that connect Ladakh to rest of the country come from two directions. One is, of course, the Srinagar-Leh highway, the old Srinagar-Leh highway, and the second one in the green here is the Atal tunnel or the Rohtang Pass, Darcha, Baralachla, Lachungla, Tanglangla, and then finally going to Leh via Upshi. This is the old road which is used by the Indian Army and the Ladakhis to connect to rest of India. Now, this road is prone to landslides. It is a very tough terrain, and there are more than three big passes there. These La in Tibetan or in that area's language is a pass, and these passes are above 15,000 feet. Each of them, these three big passes, and there are several small passes. What happens is from November onwards or December onwards, every year the snow is so heavy in these passes of Tanglangla, Lachungla, Baralachla that the road closes down for traffic, which means India is then left with only the Srinagar, Kargil, Nimu-Leh highway, and which makes it vulnerable because even there is a Zozila Pass between Srinagar and Kargil, which also closes down for at least 3 months. And that creates a problem. So therefore, the Border Roads Organization and the government came up with this third axis called Darcha Padam Nimu-Leh highway, or Darcha Padam Nimu-Leh road, which was in the planning stage for a number of years before it was opened to traffic in 2020. Single lane traffic, of course, small vehicles. And this is the road on which I happened to travel to Leh in October 2020 from Manali. So I first crossed the Rohtang Pass, then got on to Darcha, and then we came to a place called Sinkunla, where you can see this footage from October 2020. This is where the tunnel, the proposed tunnel, which was approved early this week, was approved by the Cabinet Committee on Security, is going to come up. Now, what is the importance of this tunnel? The importance of this tunnel is that once it comes up, once it is open to traffic, The rest of the road is easy to traverse compared to the old Manali Leh highway or the Srinagar Leh highway during winter. And therefore, the Indian Army, which is now heavily deployed in Ladakh, along eastern Ladakh line of actual control with China, and which requires much more supplies and needs rotation of troops more frequently than ever before, can use this road all year round. Now, that is a huge strategic boost to India's deployment and India's security. Because so far, because of lack of road access for nearly 3 months on the Srinagar Leh highway and for 6 months between the old Manali Leh highway, the Indian Army had to airlift a lot of troops or rotate the troops through the air bridge, which the strategic and medium airlift capabilities of the Indian Air Force has allowed them to do. But there is no substitute for a surface transport movement of large number of troops. And therefore, this Sinkunla Pass or the Sinkunla Tunnel rather becomes important. There's a history to this, of course. The Sinkunla area also gets snowbound, and once this tunnel comes up, the 4.1 kilometer tunnel, then the road remains operational throughout the year. This had to be planned at the highest level. The Northern Command had been pushing for it for some time, but it took intervention at the level of the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, who was then sort of given a presentation or given the idea of the importance of Sinkunla Tunnel. And it has still taken 3 years for the government to come up with the feasibility report and then finally approve the budget for Sinkunla Pass. So, Sinkunla Tunnel rather. And Sinkunla Tunnel is going to be something that is going to be a game changer. It will be watched by India's adversary, China. And apart from all the other tunnels that are coming up along the northern borders and the roads that we have been speaking about repeatedly on StratNewsGlobal. In fact, a month ago, you will remember I spoke about how a new frontier highway in Arunachal Pradesh has also been sanctioned from east to west between Tawang and Walong. That is coming up. This is the Sela Pass, which is between Tejpur and Tawang, which is under construction and should be operational sometime this year. Again, giving all-weather connectivity to the border areas of Arunachal Pradesh, Western Arunachal Pradesh, and again giving Indian Army the option to induct more troops or rotate more troops as and when it requires in that sector. So clearly, the emphasis by the government is now to improve the connectivity, improve roads, build more strategic roads, and later in the next stage also start building strategic railway lines, which we can do a separate program, I'm sure, in coming weeks or months. But I wanted to emphasize on this because if you look at the old problems that India faced in inducting troops into Ladakh or getting supplies to Ladakh, not just to the Indian Army or the Indian Air Force, but also to the ITBP, which has now become the first line of defense on the line of actual control. With the government sanctioning 8 more battalions, the ITBP is also going to play a major role in being the border guarding force, not an offensive force like the army, but a border guarding force. And also the civilians living in the Union Territory of Ladakh will benefit once the road between Leh and Rohtang or Leh and Manali remains operational throughout the year. It will change their lifestyle. It will change the economy of Ladakh. And that is why they say when you build roads, you build an entire economy around these roads. As it happened in the 20th century America, it is now slowly happening in border areas of the northern borders or northern states in India. Apart from the roads and infrastructure, the government has also come up with a Vibrant Villages program, which focuses on ensuring that sparse population along the border with China on the Indian side does not leave these villages. They remain there. They get their livelihoods there. This is the Kaho village in eastern Arunachal Pradesh in the Walong sector, where I happen to have which I happen to have visited in again October 2020. This is the first couple of that village where 73 people live, and this is across. Just behind them is the Tibetan side. The Indo-Tibet border sort of touches this village, and this village is now this is one of the several villages that are now going to get attention from the government. Along with that Sinkunla Pass approval this Wednesday, the government has approved a plan for nearly 4,000 crore rupees to develop these what they call vibrant villages program, which will be spread over several villages across 4 states, starting from Arunachal Pradesh in the east, then Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, all villages along the border, and of course the Ladakh. This is one union territory. So 4 states and one union territory, villages along the northern border, along with Tibet or Indo-Tibet border, will get priority in getting many new facilities, health centers, the drinking water facilities, dedicated electricity, schools, skill development programs. You'll get self-help groups will be created in these villages so that people earn their livelihood within the village or near the village and not migrate out to bigger towns and bigger cities, which will then empty out these villages, which will create problems of its own in the border area. So the government is now concentrating on making sure that the villagers are not forced out of their villages because of lack of connectivity or lack of facilities. And out of this 4,000 crore rupees which have been allocated to the Vibrant Villages program, 2,500 crore rupees would be spent on building internal roads connecting the main arterial highways, which the Border Roads Organization is already building in all these 4 states and one union territory, making sure that roads will give what boost that they require. So these bridges that you see in the remote areas, this is the footage taken from the helicopter in different valleys of Arunachal Pradesh when we had gone there in October 2020, and you can see many roads being constructed in these remote and difficult terrain in Arunachal Pradesh, in Ladakh, where the working season is less than 6 months. And in Arunachal Pradesh, of course, the rainy season takes away any window of opportunity for building roads. They get washed away, they get buried under the landslides. But now with new techniques and new equipment that has come in, new modern equipment, mechanized process for building roads and tunnels, this is becoming more and more easier. And as you can see, the border roads is working day and night in very tough conditions. These are the frontline workers. They are as much as important soldiers as the combat soldiers, because they work in remote areas with very little facility, but make sure that these roads come up, these tunnels come up, the connectivity improves, and then it sort of helps everyone from civilian population to the administration to the military and to the central armed police forces like the ITBP and in some cases BSF in the rest of the country, where these roads and bridges and tunnels and infrastructure is being built. So clearly, over the past 10 years, and especially in the last 7-8 years, there is intense focus on infrastructure building. You've heard me doing programs on specific sectors like Arunachal Pradesh, where I spoke about the Frontier Highway 1 month ago, how connecting west to east Arunachal Pradesh along the McMahon line is going to be a game changer for the villagers, for the sparse population staying in Arunachal Pradesh different districts, and also how it will act as a deterrent against China, whose the PLA, whose army, the People's Liberation Army, is trying to be aggressive, it's trying to be belligerent along different pressure points, the McMahon line or the line of actual control across the border, that India-Tibet border, which has remained contentious, which has remained disputed, which has remained unresolved. And because now India realizes more and more, because of Chinese actions, that this is the area where India needs to concentrate on the continental challenge that is coming from China, apart from whatever is happening in the Indian Ocean and along the maritime domain, where China is trying to come increasingly into the Indian Ocean, which we can talk about in a different program. But what I wanted to draw your attention to was basically when these projects are sanctioned, they are done with a purpose. They are not just for making up numbers or spending money. The money is now being spent on focused programs, focused projects, which give benefits beyond and above whatever is being spent, because this kind of infrastructure projects are long lasting. This is near the Rohtang Tunnel, which you know is now being renamed as Atal Tunnel, which came up after 20 years of work, and most of it in the past 5 or 6 years. So clearly, the government has risen to the challenge, and this will only help strengthening India's defenses along the India-Tibet border, and of course, then give a base for India to launch any kind of offensive operation when required, if required. That is something that we have to keep in mind. Now, anybody who's interested in visiting Ladakh, or anybody who's interested in visiting Arunachal Pradesh, must try and go by these roads, use these roads. Not only an adventure, but it's also an education to understand how people in these areas live, how difficult their lives have been for such a long time. But because of focused attention that they are getting now from the government, they will be in a better position to enjoy their life, in fact, developing their own livelihoods, and enjoy the benefit of being citizens of an India that is on the march. That's all I have this week. I wanted to flag this. Do visit StratNews Global social media handles. Subscribe to them if you haven't already done. And if you have done, do keep spreading the word to your friends, families, and acquaintances. And of course, send us feedback and some ideas which we can take up every week in this program, which I do either live once in a while, or a recorded program called Simply Nitin, which tries to focus attention on issues that matter, issues that are important for the nation's security. Also, making sure that more and more people understand how there is a focused attempt to make sure that the Indian military, the Indian population along the border areas get the facilities that they deserve. That's all I have. As I said, for the time being, it's goodbye and good night.